everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome back to Getting Back to Me, Both Sides of the Story, with Marcy and Scottie.
Happy day before Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah, and this is episode 38. And it's a special Sunday edition.
Right.
Because we just couldn't get to here until now.
And we're not sure what'll happen next week. We might be able to send you a shot or something, but we'll be in the Bay Area marching.
For the Women's March.
So
everybody go to a Women's March in your area. Let's really turn out.
And you don't have to be a woman to go.
That's right. You just need to be in support of women's rights.
Right. So what are we tackling today?
Oh, you're going to love today. So today is chapter 32, Chopped Liver.
What am I, chopped liver?
Yeah, that's exactly why it's named that. This is
one of my favorites.
I was in the process of writing the book, actually, and we lived this episode, this chapter. And so I decided it really needed to be put in, because it really was a question that really needed to be answered. So without further ado, this is in my journey of the year that I wrote this. This is about May. I've already gone through all of the document transitional forms, started hormones,
telling friends, family, work.
I'm out all over the place. Now we're kind of living with it at home. Mm-hmm. And we're not done by any stretch of the imagination. It's only May, having started officially in...
We're still not done.
That's sort of the point. Okay. Here's the dirty little secret. The "but what about the wife?" question has sunk many a trans marriage. The new butterfly's wings overshadow the other woman in too many coming out stories. She's the spouse who is suddenly thrust into a territory not of her choosing. The former queen, dethroned by the center of her universe and forced to rise above her own marriage being changed beneath her own feet. It's not fair. I admit that. But, and here's where it gets messy, just like coming out, it may never end. It may require a constant readjusting for us and our marriage of close to 3 decades. It took us that long to get here. It might take us at least that long to figure out.
So a quick, by the way, that has nothing to do with this. Last time we recorded, you all noticed how our wind chimes almost drowned us out. If you're hearing background noise, it's our 2 dogs wrestling in the living room.
But we do want to do this live from our home.
And it's going to get even more exciting when my brother comes through the door.
In TV, you just work with those noises, right?
Well, we're just letting them know that we're...
That's exactly it. We're not able to get a shot of it, which is normally what you would do in a football game to describe the noise.
No B-roll.
Yeah.
But they could also come in. So anyway.
Okay.
So what part of that do you want to...
Well, this is kind of who we are. This is who we are kind of as our story. It takes place in the narrative of the community. We're the couple who's figuring it out and working it out, and that's largely you. And I think when I wrote that, it was very hopeful. We'd already had a couple of bumps along the way. We've certainly had several more since then. One that I wrote about 2 weeks ago in Raised by Wolves. So it's more, I think you should kind of set the stage a little bit by talking about the what about the wife thing. And then let's get your thoughts.
Well, I think in a lot of ways we were lucky from that standpoint that when we got asked the question, what about Marcy, by friends or other people, that helped me not feel totally like chopped liver, because it made me feel like, in a way, I was almost a priority to them, or at least in their concerns. They could be excited for you or blown away by you or realizing they needed to adjust or whatever. But they always thought about, well, what about what about me? And I think a lot of people's feelings was, gee, if this is hard for me to accept, how can Marcy even do it?
Yeah, as I say at the very beginning of the book, if you're going to know me, you have to know you and my love for you, because my identity is glorifyingly, proudly, happily, without any loss, as a woman wrapped up in you and in being your lover. That's still who I am. That's why it needed to be said, and why everybody needed to know. That's why chapter 2 is my love, so that, because otherwise none of this would make any sense. Chapter 1's the hook of the story. Chapter 2 is really the beginning. It's like how you have to know who we are, because that's how people know who we are. After 30 years of marriage, almost, we inspired so many other marriages, and everybody regarded us as a unit, and I love that.
Well, it took going to the core of that for me in order to come with you on the journey. It was like, what's really important in a relationship? What does every relationship crave? Even people who don't have it want love, and people who do have it want more love. And so I had to home in on that. And it couldn't be about the surface. Surface changes, if you will. But I think what's disturbing is when people come at us from their own world and projections and what would I do or so forth. Because we're still getting judgments from people, even recently, about why did you come out when you did, Scottie? In light of Marcy's health, for example. You know? First of all, that means they don't understand what trans is at all. Even though they say they do, they don't get it. It was still being talked about as if it was a selfish thing for you to do, and you could have just, why couldn't you just keep pretending? But besides the fact, just point of order here, you came out to me before we had any diagnosis of my health. So, in some ways, I think other people's struggles about us are almost worse than our struggles. I don't know if that makes sense. I mean, it's been a challenge over time. But I also think because of what our belief system is and our spiritual life is about, it's only about how do you deal with the life you have, not wishing things were different or walking away when they're hard. So I guess that's what I would say. So there.
Wow. Well, thank you, my love. Can you put your finger on, okay, so I think in helping everybody understand, that's how you made the decision to go forward. How do you deal with it on a day-to-day basis? How do you deal with the fact that you used to define the standard of femininity in the house, and I happily supported that. You were the queen, and so the queen has spoken, and this is how the queen will be. And this
Oh, I will still be the queen.
Well, but I'm not. Well, I like being the princess, but I've stuck my neck out a little bit more. I don't. I love your fashion advice for me, but I definitely don't agree with you on
but
a lot. But not the fashion is like, brief note, and we're both a little raw from some other feedback we've had. Trans women do not ever, ever, ever believe for a moment that lipstick defines your womanhood. So if anybody thinks that of me, I'm shocked.
Yeah, but the thing is, there's as much range within the trans woman likes and don't likes and preferences and ways to dress or do your hair or whether or not you do makeup or wear heels as there is with the rest of the cisgender
How
women.
weird. We're just like women because we are. Anyways, sorry.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Well, I don't want to go down too many
No. The road I wanted to, what I wanted to stay on is that
day to day.
Yeah.
I take day to day. You know just as well as I do. Like today, I said, you know what? I would just like some time where we're not somehow talking about trans, whether it's trying to educate other people in our lives about it, or focusing on events, or, you know. And then there's other days where I'm the one who picks up the banner and runs into battle with it and challenges people or explains things or I'm happy about it. Or so I'm so tired of always hearing people say it's a process, but it's a process. It's not like, oh, okay, we're done. But we wouldn't be as a couple anyway, right? I mean, any couple is going to have the S word going on in their lives, and there are going to be good days and bad days, days you agree, days you disagree. You know, what if, you know, what do couples do when something horrendous happens to one of them? It's kind of like that to me. Only thank goodness you can still walk and cook and, you know. So it's if you keep getting to the core, it's not that different. It's not that different to deal with than many other couples have to go through. How do couples bounce back from losing a child? You know? So, you just...
You know what I think what struck me is when you said I'm getting tired of hearing it as a process. It's real life. You deal with real life. I think what people... in any situation where a couple decides to retreat to their corners, meaning opposite ends of something, I don't know how anybody does that. When we do it, we get more mad and agitated because we're a little bit further apart, either emotionally or physically. And so, you know, the world stops spinning for a moment. We both get thrown against the side and we go, oh, hey, okay, back here.
Yeah,
wow, that was weird. Did you see that? That was, I know, that was weird. And so,
why did I say that?
Yeah. So, I mean, if anybody wants any kind of a how-to or advice that we can give as having been married for almost 30 years, we know what we're saying.
Read my book. It's out. It's done.
Marcy's book is done.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but I think it's daily life, so it's just always constantly holding hands and never going to bed without a goodnight kiss. Even if you fall asleep and you still have to do
or
it.
You fall asleep.
Even if I fall asleep and you have to do it an hour later.
Or we have two dogs completely creating a dam between us.
We still kiss over that.
Yeah, we sometimes have to stretch over Aria and Bella, but we do.
Yeah.
Shall we say goodnight, Gracie?
I think that's it.
Yeah.
This feels really rich, and we need to come back here. But yeah, I think for now let's say goodbye.
For your sake. Besides, I'm really thirsty.
Okay. Well, see you next time.
Yeah.
Go to the Women's March.
Yes, and happy Martin Luther King.
Happy Martin Luther King Day, and
celebrate freedom.
Yes, please.
And
radiate
light, laughter, and love.